I realize this app can be a pretty politically contentious topic, but as always, my objective is just to give you what happened and why it happened. Now, that's going to require some political explanations, but I am going to refrain from all value judgments. Parler launched in August of 2018 to essentially what was a resounding meh, as no one really joined the platform right off the bat. In fact, it wouldn't see its first real activity until Candace Owens tweeted about it in December of 2018 and brought it about 40,000 new users. And that actually caused Parler's servers to malfunction because of how small the app was at the time. It had trouble gaining these initial followers because the idea that tech giants were censoring conservative voices wasn't really mainstream until the later part of 2019. And this idea became very popular when former President Donald Trump was banned from Twitter in 2021. Now, Parler originally billed itself as an unbiased free speech alternative to larger tech platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And while that message has become increasingly popular, specifically with conservative audiences over the next few years, it would also eventually prove to be the reason that Parler started to collapse. Now, originally, Parler was actually intended to be a bipartisan platform with the idea that you could discuss or talk about anything you wanted without risk of being canceled or banned for open and honest free speech. However, marketing for Parler started to shift away from bipartisanship and more towards a conservative audience, as that's who was joining the platform more consistently. And this was primarily driven by the fact that many prominent conservative speakers and political figures would speak highly of the app and encourage people to join. But despite a lot of initial support, Parler remained relatively niche through all of 2018 and 2019, ending off 2019 with around 100,000 users. Now, I'm not going to mention exactly what went on in 2020, but suffice to say that it led to a lot of major tech platforms marking a lot of social media posts as misleading or misinformation, or just deleting these posts outright. And a lot of conservative speakers took this as an attack against free speech and began touting a need for an alternative. And, among many other apps, there was Parler. As 2020 went on and even more conservative voices claimed censorship from larger platforms, popular conservative leaders such as Ted Cruz declared that they were going over to Parler. And Parler began experiencing massive growth, gaining tens of millions of followers, and it even rose to the top of both Apple's App Store and the Google Play Store on their list of the most popular free apps. But even as Parler found this foothold in the more extremist parts of right-wing media discourse, it ran into issues with Apple and Google, as both of them declared that it was in violation of their terms of service, and they both had it removed from their respective app stores. And this got even worse when Amazon Web Services, which hosted the Parler servers, declared that Parler's failure to police violent content made the site a very real risk to public safety and suspended the app from their service. And even though Parler was down for just over a month, it getting suspended was actually a pretty good thing, as it was able to claim censorship and use that to market and promote itself, once again towards the more right-wing or conservative audiences. But then as 2020 went along, it started to become more clear that Parler was far more of a fad than it was any kind of a solid social media company with any kind of staying power. Because ultimately, there really weren't that many users, and aside from the ability to jump on and see the latest messages from right-wing voices, there wasn't much else to do. Only having a right-wing audience was already a significant barrier to Parler becoming profitable, because you essentially alienate half the country right off the bat. But then the entire discourse around censorship claims from larger tech platforms also started to kind of lose its shine. While censorship was still being claimed relatively often, it wasn't claimed nearly as often as it used to be, and this substantially decreased the number of people that were joining the app. And the final nail in the coffin was probably Elon Musk buying Twitter. When Musk bought Twitter, he promised that it would be the new town square and there wouldn't be any censorship for people of different political ideologies. And with Twitter being far more popular than an already dying Parler, this started to really remove the need for Parler at all. Because why would you be on a tiny social media app with only the ability to talk to a few people when you could be on a far more popular and far more prominent social media app and really not risk getting banned anymore? So with Parler becoming less popular with conservative voices and Twitter now once again becoming more popular with conservative voices, there wasn't really a reason to be on Parler at all. And that's when the layoffs began. Through October-November of 2022, Parler laid off 75% of its workforce and now only has around 20 employees left. As much as Parler may claim that they're doing okay, laying off 3/4 of your staff is not something that you see from a thriving social media company. And I wouldn't expect Parler to be the last anti-censorship social media company to go under. That discourse is not only less popular, but it's now directly countered by the fact that Elon Musk owns Twitter, and now it's much less likely that these people are going to be banned. And I do want to give an honorable mention to Truth Social, which is Donald Trump's social media platform. While I think it has less of an impact than Musk taking over Twitter, I think it's worth noting that if you're going to join a conservative social media, then it's much more likely you're going to to follow the most recent conservative president, then you are going to go to an app that's unaffiliated with any conservative celebrity voices. Parler may not be entirely done, however, as they've announced that they plan to shift away from just social media and towards technology infrastructure. This includes things like cloud services, with the promise that your company will never be removed like Parler was from Amazon Web Services. I don't know if this shift is going to work, as the web services market is pretty well dominated by Amazon and Microsoft, but it's possible they'll be able to corner a small share of the market and be able to thrive there. But to see if that happens, we'll just have to wait.